to delivery of quality health care and to maintaining their own programs, I'm sure that'll work fine. But I mean, we are seeing a lot of diversification in how organizations are covering those that work for them. And certainly a number of them have mixes. Some of them have clinicians within their own self-insured programs, captive programs, and others work with other outside carriers or others to ensure the population that provides clinical care. So it has been a mixed bag, and I've seen in certain states things go back and forth. I've seen hospital systems move their clinical people out of the hospital captive into a more traditional carrier, and I've certainly seen it working the other way. So I think that sort of change will continue to happen.
All right. Registrant asks, how is COVID-19 going to impact the long-term care sector of MPL? Would anyone like to take that up? That's an interesting question.
Well, looking backwards, if you want an act word, is to look backwards. You can't look backwards and see a lot about what COVID-19 is going to do. But as we face the current circumstances, it seems like the long-term care sector is likely to be impacted more dramatically than many of the other sectors, and perhaps already did not have the, unfortunately, sort of goodwill, if you will, of an environment that was real supportive. We had already begun to see deteriorating circumstances in some of the long-term care books of business that we've evaluated. So this set of circumstances, which because of the nature of the COVID-19 virus, focuses its attention on those more vulnerable people, creates a situation where the long-term care segment is likely to be impacted more dramatically than perhaps other sectors.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Unfortunately, we're almost out of time for today's presentation. This has been an outstanding presentation by all of our panelists. This is the part where I'd like to go around the panel and ask everyone what their closing thoughts are, what they would like registrants to take away from today's webinar. Brian Atchison, why don't we start with you? What's the big takeaway here today?
Well, John, thanks very much. It's been a pleasure participating. I mean, I think the takeaway is before March 10th, I think we were looking at a market that was firming up, that was presenting new opportunities and challenges in the MPL field. I think since that time, we're all dealing with a new reality. I like to say if a company wasn't innovating before March 10th, they sure are now. And I think we're all going to be challenged to sort of get out of our comfort zone to try to understand the evolving healthcare delivery system. This pandemic is thrusting elements of healthcare delivery rapidly forward in ways that could never have been anticipated, not just through telemedicine, but otherwise, and the heightened focus on long-term care and nursing facilities. I think that we're going to learn a lot from this when we have the benefit of catching our breath in whenever we're able to do that, a year and a half from now. And so I think that the caution is to focus on quality at this point, both in the marketplace and in healthcare delivery, and share knowledge. So thanks again.
Thank you, Brian. Jim Hurley, what would you like registrants to remember?
I don't know that I can add a whole lot to what Brian said. I think he's done a good job in summarizing the circumstances. I guess from a quantitative standpoint, I think that the business has to look at it from a business-like standpoint. It can't walk away from statistics. It can't ignore those, yet it must recognize the changes that Brian alluded to and Joe was alluded to, we've all alluded to, that are going to be applicable going forward, that may make the statistics from the past tell us something about the past that are going to need to be adjusted to accommodate the changes that are going to be inherent in the prospective period. And I think the other thing is that we need to pause a little bit and let a little of this sink in before we try to jump to a conclusion about where it's going to take us. So I think we want to learn as quickly as we can, but we don't want to learn too much in a short period of time.
Thanks, Jim. Joe Murphy, I'm going to get the pronunciation right this time. Kaveri.